Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Ask PK. We're here with Pastor Keith, and we're going to get right into it. Pastor Keith, we have a very interesting question today.
Okay.
I think it's a lot more nuanced than it sounds, but it's a simple question when you first hear about it, and it's, is socialism biblical? And are even the teachings of Jesus, pro-socialism?
Okay. Very good question. I think there's a lot of confusion about that. I think there is some sloppy exegesis that led people to believe socialism is biblical, but it is not, and it goes opposite to what Bible teaches. I think some people thought, because after Pentecost, people were sharing things, and no one was in need. That is misunderstood because that's not for the inhabitants of Jerusalem. It's for the people who are visiting from outside different countries. The Jews had a requirement, Jewish men, to come and to attend one of these feasts yearly. And they were stuck in Jerusalem as a result of Pentecost. They experienced God, and they stayed there to find out more. Obviously, their money ran out, and they were supported by the inhabitants of Jerusalem to do that. There's no other time in history, Christian history, or Jesus never required that. Now, except the case of monasteries and the convent, they had a communal living, and that was different. But unlike many people think, it's temporal arrangement many times. They are not there the rest of their lives. Right. Some people did, but it wasn't like that. So there was a wrong understanding in introduction. What are the ills of socialism? First of all, historically, it is very clear. As a result of a socialistic belief, literally hundreds of millions of people died, and almost billion or more suffered under that belief. It's a historical fact. It's not even 100 years old. And when I began to travel from 1990, latter part of 1980s and 90 and 2000, I have seen and witnessed Russia, Soviet Union fall, and China opening up. And at the time, Russia was 70 years into communism, and China was about 40 years into it. I saw the ravage of it firsthand. I was going in there every year, once or twice, sometimes 3 times. And not only Russia, but the Russian Federation, and all the Kazakhstan and all the Stan countries, including Ukraine and Belarus. I have seen how people have changed. Why is this so? Because socialism, the assumptions are wrong. Socialism believes in social engineering. They believe that they can undo the human nature. And both positive and negative. And they do not recognize the sinful nature of human being. So let me explain that. Every human being wants to provide for himself and his family better than others. That's built in. You cannot call that selfishness. It's just responsible, and that's just built in our desire. And when you make the society, no matter how much you put in, you get the same thing back. And even if you don't put in anything, you get the same thing back. Human nature regresses, is not progressive. And everybody, lowest common denominator is laziness and apathy. And it robs human nature in that way. And also, the other hand, human nature of sin, vestige of sin, that causes people not to abide by the social means, but they have underhanded way of getting what they want. So no communistic, socialism can sustain itself without black market or bribing. Those are the two common things that holds up these things.
Right.
And so China, when they opened up, even though they kept communism as a political system, they have changed, invited red businessmen, expatriates, and they came and invested, and they run the market as a free market. Up to now, that is recently. And now the government is trying to repossess those companies as a state-owned. That's why the economy is tanking right now. So those are the things. But there are even more insidious belief of a socialism. That is, they believe all the resources belong to the state. So even if you're an entrepreneur, work hard and gain money, that money in their mind belongs to the state, no matter how much or how creative you are. So they don't mind taxing the whole thing, and they have no apology for it, as if it's robbing the rich to give to poor. The problem is sometimes poor have never put in, and the thing is like that. And it goes even worse than that. They consider human being as a resource element. So children belongs to the state. And the state can indoctrinate children according to its own whim, and the parents stay out of it. So the fundamental belief of family system and providing for their own, that the natural desire, they want to undo it with the social engineering, but it doesn't happen that way. And people fight back, but not overtly, but covertly. That's why black market and bribing thrive. The corruption thrives. And so when you look at the whole thing, it ignores sinful nature of human being, as if it's an angel. You put in as much you want, you take as much you need. That is not sustainable. And we have seen that through all these countries. Most recently, not only North Korea, but Venezuela, how it falls with an incredible richness of natural resources and things like that. And so I think it's very evident, and I hope there's no confusion on believers about the socialism and communism, because FDR, Roosevelt, put it very clearly. They meaning communists. Communists do not like Christians, because Christians, is for free market system, and is anti-communism, and that's why it cannot exist together. And so understanding our faith is for freedom and for creativity, for development, healthy competition, and all those things sharpen and make our society more progressive and growing. But when you put socialism, somebody has to enforce the socialistic engineering. That means somebody has to take from people who's not willing to give, and to give to people oftentimes do not deserve. And that destroys the social dynamic and people's desire to do better. And so lowest common denominator, once again, is apathy, and they don't want to participate in the labor market. That's what happens. That's why Soviet Union fell. That's why now when China is trying to take over the companies, now the young people are not working. Tangping, they are laying down and let it rot. That kind of thing is happening. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Pastor Keith. I think this really demonstrates how a deeper study is needed in a lot of things, and we can't just take conceptual values or what we think sounds good. And so thank you for that, Pastor Keith. We hope that you can join us for future episodes. See you next time.